So we've talked about nouns already, and in this video we're going to focus on one of those types of nouns. We looked at it quickly in the noun review, but this one is pronouns. So let's take a deeper look at pronouns because they can be a little bit complicated when we're understanding them in the grammar sense, from a grammatical perspective, if you want to sound fancy. So, what are pronouns, first of all? So, pronouns are used to replace the subject or the object in a sentence to avoid repetition, to avoid saying the same thing again, or to show possession. Possession is when you own something, when you have something. Now, pronouns can change depending on how many nouns they are replacing. So, if they're replacing one, it'll be different to if they're replacing 2 or 3 or 10. And remember that, of course, as we talked about in the last video, nouns don't usually have a gender, but pronouns do have a gender, all right? So it's based on whether that thing or person or animal is biologically male or female or neither. And of course, in some languages, pronouns can be formal. Like, for example, in Spanish, you say usted, and that's more formal than saying tú. But in English, we don't have that. So don't worry about if in your language some pronouns are more formal than others. In English, we don't have that. Instead, you show like formality. You show respect to someone with the other words that you choose and your tone of voice and maybe the topics that you're talking about, but not with the pronouns. And in case you saw those words object and subject and thought, oh my God, what are they? Let's quickly do a review. So the object is the thing that receives the action. The action happens to the object, and the subject does the action, or more technically, performs the action. So first of all, let's look at what I think are the easy ones, which are the subject pronouns. So when someone is doing the action. And these are the ones that I'm sure you remember. So first person is I, and then if it's several, it's we. Second person is you, just one person, or all of you. We still just say you. And then the third person, he, she, or it. If it's several, we say they. And that's pretty easy. You know that, right? Let's take a look at some examples quickly. I will be going overseas next week. We'll be going overseas next week. Sounds like fun. Where are the three of you going? So that's you in the plural. Have you finished your homework? You work so well together. You're definitely the best performing team this year. And they are always late on Monday mornings. Who would want to be on time on a Monday morning? He or she said, we can leave early on Friday this week. It will help a lot because we'll skip the rush hour traffic. So those were the subject pronouns, the pretty easy ones. One that gets a little bit more complicated is the difference between possessive pronouns and determiners. So those are two very fancy words. And you might be thinking, I don't remember learning those. But of course, really, the reality is that they're pretty simple. You already know them. So let's take a look. So the possessive determiners are my, your, his, her, its, our, and their. And the possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. And really, this depends on where you put it, the way that you organize your sentence. Let's see some examples. First of all, this is my new car. This car is mine. All right, so the blue is the possessive determiner. When we organize the sentence in that way, we say this is my car. Or if we change the order, we say this car or the car is mine. So usually the possessive pronoun comes later in the sentence. And let's see some other examples as well. Here's their daughter. Her name is Clara. These are my snacks. yours are in the kitchen. All right. You could also say your snacks. Then it would change. Then it would be a possessive determiner. But if we want to make it even simpler, we would say yours are in the kitchen, because we already know we're talking about snacks. And I managed to bring our laundry in before the rain started, but theirs got soaking wet, unfortunately. Bad news for them. The next thing to look at is apostrophes. So those are the little ch that we see when we're showing the possession of something. So there are a few rules that we have to remember. And the easiest way is just to look at some correct examples. So let's see the first one. So if we're talking about the ball of the dog, this is the simplest way of using apostrophes. We say the dog's ball. So it's dog, apostrophe S, ball. That one's pretty easy. But in some situations, it can get a little more complicated. So for example, if we want to say this is Santiago, the son of Maria, so that of we're going to change into the apostrophe. We've got two ways to say it. This is Maria's son, Santiago, or this is Santiago, comma, Maria's son. And both of those ones are correct. Two different options. So we're putting the apostrophe after Maria because she is the one who has the son. Santiago doesn't have a son. Well, maybe he does, we don't know. But Maria has a son who is Santiago. Now, this one is a bit more complicated. This one is the car of Michael and Sam. So the car has two owners. Owner number one, Michael. Owner number two, Sam. So it's Michael and Sam's car. Or you could say Sam and Michael's car. Either order is fine, but the important thing is that we don't say Michael's and Sam's car. We say Michael and Sam's car. So the apostrophe goes on the second name. Then the phone of Jess is Jess's phone. We say that one as Jess's phone. But what you'll notice is that there's no S after the apostrophe. Why not? Because that name ends in an S. Another example of that is my name, Francis. The last letters is C-I-S. So if you want to say, I'm watching Francis's course, it would be C-I-S apostrophe and then course. No extra S. Okay? And then the toys of the babies toys. Again, because it's babies, it's more than one baby. So we don't need to add that extra S.